Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's another episode of the Soul Goals podcast. I'm Dawn, and right next to me is the delightful.
Dixie.
I don't know why that just flows so nicely. It just goes with you in your persona.
I mean, I'm
Delightful, super
I'm glad
delightful.
delightful came to mind. I mean, there are other things that could, and I'm so glad.
Well, I'm not thinking anything negative about you. You're the sweetest human that anyone could ever have any kind of connection with. You're
Oh
a
my
beautiful
word, you're so sweet.
Yeah, you're amazing. Yeah. So today, I can't wait, as I say every week, to hear your story on this one. But this week, we were challenged with an opportunity to give back, to volunteer. So we're calling this episode the Volunteer State since we're based out of Tennessee. But I know that's hard for you because volunteers, yeah, you're probably not going to go out and wear orange because that's not your team, right?
No, I'm not going to wear orange. Well, I probably wouldn't wear orange even if they were my team. I'd have to wear white or black. But
Right.
um, no, I'm a blue and red girl. I'm go Rebels. I'm a
Ole
Ole Miss
Miss.
girl.
You're the
Yeah.
hottie toddy group.
I
Yeah.
do, and we're a house divided because my husband, he's roll tide, and I'm hotty toddy, and
Oh, there you
yeah,
go. There you go.
yeah.
Well, I am a neutral source in the middle of all sorts of definitely go Vols from my oldest daughter and my husband. And then my younger daughter's TBD. And
Right.
then I'm an Ohio State fan because that's where I'm from. But
There you go. Yeah.
but we live in the volunteer state. And so the volunteer state represents giving back. And that's what we hope to do. And so the opportunity to give back this week. Dixie, tell me what you did this week to volunteer. I want to hear.
So, well, it's a little different, but so I started a new job, not a new job, but a new location for my job, and I literally worked over 50 hours this week.
Oh,
So, but I did, my son is doing an internship, and they were collecting socks and like beanies
yeah.
and toboggans for the Nashville Rescue Mission.
Okay.
And so we went out and bought a parcel of that, and for them. So I did find some time to do some good,
Okay.
but as far as like actually like going and like handing them out or anything like that, I just couldn't because my job demanded so much of my time this week.
Right.
But I did learn that even if if you don't have the time to go and do it yourself, that there's somebody out there who's doing it and you can provide
Yep.
the means for them. And so I was very excited that that came up.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life where a season where once a week I went with this girl to feed our homeless population,
Mhm.
and did it every God, it was the same day every week. We'd go out and people would bring food, and places would volunteer and send like gift cards or whatever. We had all kinds of stuff for them. And so I know firsthand how being the boots on the ground, how
Yeah.
much how
Oh,
important
that
that
matters.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that how
That is.
much that matters. But
Yes.
it also it takes everybody. It
Yes.
takes those who can provide, those that can give, those who can actually show up, all
Right.
the things. So
Yeah. You're
I
right.
love
It
to
is.
volunteer. I love it. I wish I need to make more time to do it regardless of circumstances because it's such a, I don't know. I always get so much out of it,
Mhm.
and gain a perspective. And I know that maybe, um, I don't know. It's just not lost on me how fortunate we are, even in our darkest, hardest times of
Mhm.
like our seasons of life. Um, we're still so incredibly fortunate.
Yeah.
And, I
Yeah.
saw this thing that said, be careful what you complain about because what you're complaining about is might be the very thing that somebody's praying about.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like, wow. So anyway,
Yeah, our best days or our mediocre days even are things that other people only can only dream about. So yeah,
right.
that's really great perspective to put out there. That's the keeping in mind that, you know, trying not to take for granted the very simplistic things that we have And I want to
Mhm.
go back to the whole, like, it encompasses volunteering, encompasses more than just being the people that are absolutely there feeding the people, like you were talking
Mhm.
about in your circumstance. It involves all the facets, like who is the one that's purchasing the food? Who
Mhm.
is the one that is driving it from A to B? Who There's so many points of volunteerism in that one thing that
Mhm.
encompasses that give back mentality that we're really trying to evoke here with this week. Um, I did a thing, and I do it a couple times a month. I volunteer for Meals on Wheels.
Yes, you do. That's so cool. I love that.
Well, and it started out as a really interesting thing. My daughter was home from college like 3 Christmases ago now. And she was like, let's do something on Christmas Eve and like go to room in the inn and serve or do something." But everything that we waited too long and we were
Yeah.
filled up. So we had no opportunity to serve that year. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get on something for this next year and we're going to do it. We'll be ready the next holiday season.
Yeah.
So come to find out that you can't just do that on Meals on Wheels. They got to do a whole background check on you. They got to do the whole deal,
You
right?
can't just show up and go,
Just,
"Hey,
hey, I
I'm
got food
gonna
for you.
randomly show up at somebody's house and take them something."
Yeah, I would. Look, if only, right? So, so you go through the whole big deal about the background check and everything, and then you have to be trained to do it depending upon what you're doing, whether you're packaging the food, whether you are loading the food, whether you are contributing by working in the office or collecting the stuff when you come back. And it's you talk about the process that goes into the volunteerism with Meals on Wheels. There's so much. Um,
Yeah.
I will tell you the best thing. I love delivering, and that's usually what I do. That's probably about 3 times a month, and it's maybe 90 minutes of my time, and we
Mhm.
know a month ahead of time when we're going to do it, and they put you on a route, and you load up your food in your car, and you take these prepackaged food. It's not prepackaged. I shouldn't say that. It's a company that makes the food and then they bring it to the specific centers. The
Mhm.
centers divvy it out into specific dishware that's shrink wrapped and packaged so carefully. And you
Yeah.
carry them in these baskets and these bags that have hot stones in them to keep everything hot. And then you have a cooler pack as well for the cold items.
Yeah.
And you show up at these people's houses. And I think it really impacted me. The first person I ever delivered to was an old man that lived back kind of down a way. And I walked up to this rickety upstairs situation and I'm knocking on the door and he's not answering. And I happen to look over my shoulder and he's in the back meadow. He's 90 years old and he's walking at me, waving his arm. "Hello, I'm out here." And I'm like, okay. So he says, "Come down here." I come down the steps. I give him his food. We stood there and talked for probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And his wife is on hospice.
Mm.
She's in the front side of their house, but the instructions were go to the back side of the house. He comes out and he was telling me all about her story. And he was telling me about he likes to keep active, he likes to keep busy. I'm just learning so much about this person. So
Yeah.
over the course of the last 2 years, I've been able to follow his path. I've been able to deliver to him a few times a month. And it's just a really beautiful relationship. His wife passed away about 6 months after I first met him.
Mhm.
And it's been really, really such a gift to be involved in this gentleman's life, even a few times a month for 15 minutes. And boy, don't they enjoy seeing you
Mhm.
and giving you a hug
That's so
and
sweet. Yeah.
yeah, and I like they have dogs and kitties a lot of times, and I get to sit down on the floor and play with their dog. "Hey, come and say hi to my sweet pup Marengo here." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Like, so there's all sorts of really beautiful gifts, and we give and we get back, I mean,
Yeah.
just as much as they're getting from all of this, we're getting just as much. It's like, that
Yeah.
old adage says, "Give and you shall receive," and it's
Yeah.
so true. So
I
true.
remember one Christmas, my kids were little, um, and we decided that Christmas that we would none of us did gifts. Like the kids didn't get anything from us for Christmas. I mean, they did from other people in the family because my mother in law was like, and my mom both were like, "You're not getting your kids anything for Christmas." I was like, "Well, we all talked about it." So what we
Yeah.
did is we called. a pastor that we knew and asked if there was like a needy family that needed toys for their kids and
Mm.
like a Christmas meal. And they did. And it was a single mom, and she had like four kids. And so the money that we would have spent on all of us, we decided to get them Christmas. And I took my kids, they were little. I say little, but they were like 10 and 12. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah,
um
that's pretty I want my own Christmas present kind of time.
yeah,
Yeah,
and or 9 and 11, 10 and 12, something like that. They were
yeah.
young. But I remember we went to the grocery store. Well, we got all their toys here, and then we traveled to Mississippi where the family lived, and my we were visiting family there. And then we went to the grocery store and bought all their stuff. And it was so funny in the beginning to watch the kids just kind of going through the motions, but then they would get excited about, oh, what? They have a 4-year-old? Oh, she would love this, that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
then picking out food for them, and then we put some extra stuff in there. And it was just so important to me to change their perspective.
Mm, yes.
We're not going to take every single Christmas and say no gifts for you, but to have a Christmas where we're like, okay, as a family, this is
Yeah,
what I would like to do.
it's a great
And
idea.
how do you
Mhm.
guys feel about this? Because there are people out there that their kids out there that they don't get to make a list and give it to their mom and say, this is what I want Santa to bring me.
Yeah.
Or if they do, mom's internally struggling,
Right.
because she
Right.
doesn't know how to do that. And she doesn't
Right.
have the heart to say, I'm sorry, whatever.
Just doesn't
I,
have that capability for one
yeah.
reason or another. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So
Totally. I
that was
love
a
that you said that.
huge, meaningful Christmas for
Mhm.
us. And I don't even know if they remember, but it was meaningful for me to see their perspective change and then find the joy in like giving,
Yeah.
um, rather than just being focused on the receiving end of it.
Right. Exactly. Can you hear the beeping that's happening outside right now?
I cannot.
Okay, that's good because
Oh, I did hear that little beep. It's okay. It's not very loud though.
that's good. Here we are at the podcast, the Soul Goals podcast recording studio, aka
I
my kitchen, with,
love it.
with volunteerism work going on in the backyard. Yes, there you go. But I will tell you, I think that you doing that for your family and making that a priority for them to see how their impact of their sacrificing something that they really wanted by giving
Yeah.
that to somebody else is so important and so meaningful for us to be able to do. And what that did for them as people. And I guarantee you, your kids had to remember this. And if I pulled that up to them, if I saw them today and said, "Do you remember that Christmas that you did? Your mom and I were talking about that." They would say immediately, I know your kids, they would be like, "Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Totally."
Yeah,
And they
probably
would
so.
be
They
all
probably
for the good. They would be so excited to share it and
would.
about I mean, they would probably light up and beam. I just really I believe it's just that important that we do those
Hmm.
things. So what do you do when you don't have the time? What do you do when you don't have the resources to give back? How do you volunteer? Because people that are listening to this may be going, "Yeah, that's great, but we don't get to do Christmas stuff." Like
Hmm.
maybe it's
No,
the
I
single
get it.
mom with the kids that doesn't have that opportunity. So how can they give back? Like what does that look like on a whole other side of the spectrum, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of places out there where you can go serve meals, like soup kitchens, and um, you can do stuff like that. One time, I went and to this. I can't remember what the organization was, but they were putting people could drive through and get groceries.
Oh, wow.
And it
Oh,
was through gosh, I can't remember, but they literally had a line of cars. They did it like once a month.
yeah.
And all of these vendors, I'm sure it was like a tax write-off for them, but there were like pallets of stuff.
Oh, wow.
There was food, and there were like hygiene things like soaps and shampoos and toothbrushes and
Yeah.
toothpaste, but also food. And they would come through, and they drove their car, and you took it to their car
Yeah.
and you filled up a basket and put it in their car. And
Yeah.
that didn't cost me anything.
Right.
And I've gone to soup kitchens that didn't cost me anything.
Right.
Volunteering at like a you can collect stuff that you don't have to buy. There's a place down the street from me that they're like a thrift store, if you will, like a consignment shop,
Mhm.
but all of their they are training and helping women that are coming out of difficult situations to get back on their feet.
Yeah.
And so they collect like business wear and purses and
Oh, that's
stuff
great.
like that. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
there's so many options out
Yeah.
there that if you don't have actual the means to purchase things, because we don't always have that all the time,
Yeah.
especially like right now, when eggs are what, $50 for 2 eggs.
Oh my
Um,
god. Yeah, exactly. We're all in a place where, I mean, we all go through those seasons where
mhm,
we're stretched really thin for one reason
yeah,
or another. All
yeah,
of us do. And again, I think I said it in the last episode, is like, we don't want to sound like we're Pollyanna here saying, oh, just hody do life is grand,
right,
because
right,
it's hard, and surviving and existing and thriving is challenging. It's got
yeah,
definitely has its yuckier moments, but
yeah. I think
and
there's places too that you can volunteer for like kids in the foster system, or
yeah,
I mean, yeah, those require background checks and stuff like that, but I mean, nursing homes, how
yeah,
many people are in a nursing home and they have nobody,
yeah,
and just taking yourself there and asking, hey, can I just go visit some people who are alone?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that brings a tear to my eye because I think that's just so important. It breaks my heart to think about anybody just being alone
yeah.
and not having anybody. So if all you have is a smile, that's enough to
Amen.
do that.
Mm,
There's
yeah,
always somewhere we can do we can do something that essentially costs us nothing but means everything to somebody else.
yeah. It means the world. You can't put a dollar sign on that kind of thing.
Mhm.
You can't, for yourself, for the person you're serving or giving back to. You just
Mhm.
can't. My kids grew up in a school setting where they had to do service work. They had to do a
Mhm.
specific amount of service hours each year. And as they get older, by the time they're able to drive, then their service hours expand a little bit more. So it's a little more accessible for them to get to it with their own mode of
Yeah.
transportation. So like, we're not having to take them all the time.
Mom's not having to carpool.
Yeah, right, right. But my youngest daughter, one of her favorite, and I say this because she's the youngest, she's finishing up her high school career right now, and she loves Room in the Inn. And she goes there and volunteers at Room in the Inn whenever she can. And it started out as I have to get this for the semester, this certain amount of hours, and this is the organization I'm going to help. Knew really nothing about it other than it's a Christian organization through their,
Mhm.
like, associated with their school and with associated with multiple churches in the area,
Yeah.
and how they bring people in and they help give them things, people that are living on the streets essentially,
Yeah.
and help give them the items that they may, the most basic fundamental needs that they have, and serve them a meal. And
Mhm.
she now will go and volunteer when she doesn't have to volunteer.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's like, it's something that I think it bred into them at a very young age, that, hey,
Mhm.
this is why it's important when you have something that other people may look at as, you have more than you need. What are you doing with that more than you need aspect? And I'm
Right.
not talking from a financial standpoint. I'm
Right.
talking from a health
Mhm.
standpoint, from an intelligence standpoint, from just the family you were born into and the support that you have. There's people that don't have those fundamental things that a lot of us take for granted,
Mhm.
outside of just economic stuff.
Right.
So being able to see the other side of what you are not creates a really empathetic version
Mhm.
of yourself, and an ideal that that makes it bigger than you. Like, you become a lot more selfless instead of
Right.
selfish in that point.
Right. Anytime you place value on somebody else, um, it creates an awareness in yourself.
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, this is bigger than me.
Yeah.
Life is a whole lot bigger than my little four walls
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what's going on with me. Although that's important too, but
Yeah.
it just gets us more in tune with just humanity.
Right. Right. And I think it just serving other organizations, serving other people really shows us the value of it just feeds us and it gives back to us so much.
Hmm.
So terrible, so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I've been like, I've always wanted my kids doing. We've always taken part in things, with churches or whatever that were giving out, having a carnival in a apartment complex, like a Halloween whatever, giving out
Yeah.
candy, playing games, things like that. Working with organizations where they're taking food door to door, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I just think it's
Excuse me.
like the Nashville Dream Center is another one that takes care of a
Oh,
lot of. I love that
I've heard
place.
of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So we've done a lot of volunteering with them, and um, we went into a school one time for like a Christmas thing and painted faces. Like that seemed,
Yeah. Yeah.
did face painting at this little place and discovered that Anna can do quite a face painting. So I was like, look at you, girl. So,
Yeah. Which is a
but
whole other ball game because it can
yeah.
show you those things that you may be overlooking in terms of what do you want to do with your life? What are
Hmm.
some more of your gifts? One of your gifts may be really true empathy for people. And
Hmm.
how can that value be spread to not only yourself? So you're using your gift that you may not
Hmm.
have realized that was such a deep well inside of you, but you're using it. How is that going to impact the rest of the world outside of you? It's really about learning more about yourself,
Hmm.
and to be, and we had talked about this on here, to be the best possible version of yourself that you can be.
Hmm.
It's You deserve to do that. You deserve to live in those gifts. And I think volunteering a lot of times opens our eyes to things that we wouldn't normally look at for the things that we have to offer the world.
Right. Right. But it's so important. I just
Mhm.
and not just in volunteering, like, I mean, I know it's the connotation is around somebody that's struggling
Yeah.
in some sort of way, but just just being there, just being generous with your life in general,
Yep.
towards others, no matter what where they are, is I think is important.
Mhm.
I think is um it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's why we're here. I say it all the time. I think I've said it
Yeah.
on every podcast. We're created to be in community, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
And if I meet somebody in the grocery store and I just feel a something just to say hello, then then say hello because you
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah. And
And
that's volunteering. That's volunteering.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's getting out of what's comfortable and doing something outside of yourself that,
Mhm.
essentially only cost you a little bit of uncomfortableness, but
Yeah.
then it's fine,
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And you
it's
are like we've talked about this on previous episodes. I know you have done so much volunteering just off the cuff. I think you talked about the being at the grocery store and seeing something develop and stepping into it and being able to give back to that circumstance and buying someone's groceries for them,
mhm,
paying it forward for somebody that you see struggling, and you are such a gift to the world because I know you do this regularly, and that's not something that's planned, and it's about cultivating that heart center in each of us and
mhm,
understanding that we are here to connect. We are here to be in community with one another. And if we look different than the person standing beside us, that doesn't mean that you're not community.
right,
Well, what can I do? What do you need from me? What can I do to
yeah,
help you? It's not about being codependent. It's not about enabling somebody. It's
mhm,
totally, like, I just want to go down that road. It's not about enabling somebody by doing something for someone.
mhm,
It's about offering that element of, I see you. How can I help?
right,
You
right,
know?
and I just can't. There's something in me that, and I don't know why it's this way, and I've struggled and I've fought it for a lot of years, but there's something in me that almost like I can't walk away from a situation where I feel like somebody's struggling, like in the grocery store or whatever, like if I leave, I'm like physically ill.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, there was a time where I couldn't leave I was trying to leave, and I just saw this lady just kind of looking around, and I kept watching her while I was in line, and I thought, and then I did my groceries, and she was still standing there, and I thought to myself, I mean, I literally felt like I was gonna just like get sick. I was physically ill.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute I turned around and was like, "Are you okay?" And then we had a conversation, it's like suddenly, I mean, it was like in an instant, I
Yeah.
don't feel that way anymore. It has a physical response,
Yeah.
and I don't know why that is. But I can't, like, I'll lose sleep if I don't listen to that physical response in my body. Like,
Yeah.
I have a really hard time if I ignore it, then there's a whole other set of things
A whole other
that
set of
go
things that go in. Yeah. Well, I
yeah, that
think
come
it's
at
grown
me.
in you. Like it's real. I think it's really grown in you. And I think it's not something that I think you have to experience different things to be able to really hone that.
Mhm.
And but I know knowing your family and kind of where you came from, I think that's such a gift that your parents really cultivated for you probably at a very young age, that empathetic side. How
You
do
know,
we
I've never
grow?
thought about that. Now
Mhm.
that you well, that's crazy. I've never thought about that because when I was little, my or younger, uh my dad was an elk. Remember the Elks Club? I don't know if you
We
ever
love,
remember
yeah.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Elks Club, the Moose Club,
Yeah.
and all of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. My dad was an elk, and they did every Christmas, they collected a bunch of toys, and then they had a big party for all of
Mhm.
these kids at an orphanage. They would bring all the kids over. Santa would come, call them each by name, give them all a present. Well, my mom led all the music, all the Christmas songs prior to Santa coming. So it was you sing all these Christmas carols together with these kids, and they're eating and they're having candy. And I remember it was hot dogs and Coke for some reason. I remember it every year, but they had candy and desserts. And then you were singing Christmas carols. And then the very last song they sang was Here Comes Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But she would say, "You got to sing loud enough because he's got to hear you from the North Pole or he can't get here." And then they would sing so loud. And then he would come in and then they would have their party and they'd get all their presents.
Oh,
And we always went. We helped hand out presents from the time I can remember. I never
yeah.
remember a Christmas where we didn't do that with the Elks. And so that's so funny that you mentioned that
Mm.
because I'm like, huh, I never connected those
Yeah, it
dots.
was great. It was born in you. They grew that in you. So I think then the next question would be, how do we, if we didn't come from a place where that was born into us or grown or sown into us, maybe,
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
we develop that empathy now? What do we do to create that space where we feel led to volunteer? We listen and we are really tuned into those things going on around us. Like, how do you hone in on that piece? Because I think we all are capable of doing that,
Hmm.
even given past circumstances that may be kind of crappy in our
Yeah.
lives and things that may have happened to us along the way that
Hmm.
don't really lend us to feel like, yeah, I'm going to be empathetic instead of,
Right.
I'm kind of angry about what happened and I don't want to be nice to people, or I don't really, someone needs to help me, kind of getting out of that
Hmm.
victim mentality.
Yeah.
How do we grow that empathy if we don't naturally have that kind of sewn into our DNA?
Yeah, I think first of all, you have to decide to pay attention
Mm.
to what's going on around you and kind of get out of your own self.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that I heard somebody say this one time, and I do believe it, that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And if you really do believe, I mean, if you just believe like all this has happened to me and my life just stinks and I'm not going to do anything for anybody and that's just ridiculous. That's such a like hopeless place to live. So if I can acknowledge terrible things happened and I went through terrible seasons and
Mhm.
I'm not minimizing that at all, but if I can take that and turn it and use that situation to for somebody else's good, then that only helps my healing. It
Yes.
softens, it softens those angry things in me, or
Yeah.
places, those angry places in me. It softens them. And then it kind of opens my eyes to I'm not the only one, because we're never the only one.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter how small or how horrific something is that you've been through, you're not alone. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
And it takes courage to open up. So I would just say pay attention, and
Mhm.
it's okay to just to be a little nervous and apprehensive about getting uncomfortable, because it's vulnerable and it's personal.
Yeah.
But the what comes out of it is so much bigger than us. It's just we are all just people trying to do the best we can, for the most
Amen.
part. I mean, I know there's crazies out there, but for the
Yeah.
most part, um, for the most part, we're just natured to. I feel like are natured to do that.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
agree. Yeah.
um, and yeah, I would just say pay attention and be willing to be a little uncomfortable.
Right. I'll tell you, my husband probably, and if I totally will age him here when I say this. Oh gosh, and my dates are probably way off, but like maybe 30 years ago now or
Hmm.
more,
Hmm.
he just oh, it's more than 30 years ago. He was going to a Catholic church and he believed he was raised in this household to give back to the church. You put something in the collection plate, you tithe
Yeah.
something, whether it's a dollar, whether it's 25 cents, whether it's, $50, whatever you can give back of yourself
Hmm.
monetarily from that concept in church. And there was a patch that he didn't have anything extra to give. Like he just didn't. He was
Hmm.
like living on a shoestring. And this was right, I think it was right out of college, right in between jobs. And the church was connected to a school. And they announced at the end of one of the services that they're looking for assistant football coaches and it's not a paid position. And he was like, bam, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give back. I don't have the money, but I got the time because I'm in between these two jobs and there's a lot of change happening right now. I have a
Hmm.
lot of unfortunate circumstances going on. So, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And here we are 30 years later. He's still volunteering with a
He's still
different
doing that.
organization.
That's
He's
so
still
cool.
coaching football. Yeah. And it's been the biggest gift in his life, besides his family and his kids. But it's really given back to him so much. And the way it started was, he didn't have anything. He's like, it just went like that's a God. I call that a God download.
Yeah.
Like it's a file
Right.
download going, hey, I see you. Here's an
Hmm.
opportunity. And he went, whoa, there it was.
Yeah.
And the relationships that he's been able to build and just the love that of the sport that he really didn't know he had for it in
Right.
the giving back in that capacity to young men and
Hmm.
teaching them about this is what you do when you shake someone's hand. You look them in the eye. You
Hmm.
say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Treat your mother with respect. I mean, it's more than
Yeah.
just the blue 42 hut hut
Right.
on the field. I
Right.
totally don't know what I was
Right.
saying there, but you know what I
I
mean.
know. Blue 42 works. So.
Yeah, okay, there we go. There we go. I am not a football coach. I do know about football, but not enough. So there you
Right.
go.
That's me too.
Yeah,
But
but I mean,
it's true that the impact that he's made over the last 30 years, like, you said it's meant so much to him. That's really just a byproduct. Like, that's like the sweet gift you don't see coming, is what
mhm,
it does for you. It's not why we do it, but it's like, um, I almost say like the kindness of the Lord to just be like, oh, okay, well, let me do this right here. But
yeah,
like, he'll never probably ever, um, and, understand or even get to see the huge impact he's had. I
yeah.
mean, I know he sees some stuff,
Yeah.
but
Well, we'll go out to dinner, interestingly, around Nashville, and undoubtedly we'll run into somebody that I've never met or that I don't
right.
know. And he's like, oh my God, we were at gosh, where were we? We're at a restaurant downtown doing a date night, just randomly sitting at the bar, gonna order our meal to sit there, and the waiter comes and brings our food. And he looks at my husband and goes, oh my God, you coached me in football
Yeah. Coach?
in seventh grade. Hey, coach.
Yeah.
And this is like, and my husband's like, oh my God, are you serious? And they had like a 15-minute conversation over
Yeah.
this guy's break. He came back out and talked to him. And it was like, it was the most, I mean, they were both like lit up. They were both lit up talking about that time in both of their lives and
Mhm.
how it impacted both of them. So you just, you know what? Like we said on the last podcast, you putting things out there, doing things from your heart, you just
Mhm.
never know what the impact is that you have on other people and how giving of yourself in any capacity that you can
Mhm.
find and like listening to those downloads that you're getting, you know,
Yeah.
these things that are calling you to step outside of your comfort zone like you were talking about. How
Yeah.
integral that can be for other people downline and conceivably for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and I would just say too, if it's not something that, you were saying has been sewn into you, or
Mhm.
you've never been encouraged to do, I would just challenge somebody, just do just do it once,
Yeah.
because the one time is enough for you to say why, for you to start looking at other opportunities. Like, why haven't not been doing this my whole life, you
Yes,
know?
absolutely. That's a great point,
Yes.
Christy. Yeah, I'm glad you said
Hmm.
that. That is absolutely 110% true right there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll say it. Go Vols. There you go for everybody who can see.
Toddy toddy. No, I'm
Toddy,
just kidding.
toddy. Ohio,
Oh my God,
Ohio.
that's
Let's
so
go.
funny.
Everybody get out there, try to find a way to volunteer, give back of yourself to your community in whatever capacity that you have. It is so integral to connect us all on such deep and meaningful levels,
Yep.
everybody. Yeah. Right.
Hmm.
And until next week, I'm Dawn.
I'm Dixie.
We'll see you again.